Hello, I'm professional artist and art instructor Daphne Cote, and this week we are working on building up to a portrait. So, our last tutorial was on drawing an eye, and today's tutorial is going to be drawing the nose and mouth. So, um, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that you hit the subscribe button on YouTube so that you can follow me and see all the other upcoming and new videos that are coming out. And please feel free to post comments in the live chat as well. It's really helpful, really adds to the tutorial when you put in any of the questions that you have, because if you have questions, probably somebody else is asking the same types of things in their head, so it really adds to the tutorial. So I appreciate those. So let's get started. I have a 2B pencil, a white eraser, and just some plain old computer paper. I just wanted to make the supplies really simple, as everybody's probably stuck at home right now. I know I am, so that's why I wanted to do all of these free tutorials to give you something to work on, something to look forward to during the day. I know that I use this as a great way to get going in the morning. It really connects all the synapses doing some drawing and some observational skills. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm just gonna flip down the camera and we'll get started here. Sorry. Okay, so we've got our paper and pencil. I've got my white eraser that I cut into a wedge. Last time I did use my electric eraser. It's a white eraser that basically just spins. So it's got a little white eraser in the end. It just spins around. And then I also have a blending stomp. I used it a little bit in the eye tutorial, and I might today. So we're going to be drawing this nose and mouth and understanding how the nose and mouth are formed structurally as well. So on a face, we have the eye sockets, and if we're just even looking at the skull, what happens is that, yeah, I need to draw things a little bit darker so that you can see them. Okay, so we've got some eye sockets, and we've got our skull, which has an opening right here. And this part here becomes very pointy. And we have cartilage that fills in that space. And then we have some interesting things where we have two balls of cartilage at the end of our nose. And you can kind of see in the reference photo that there are two circular balls here. And that's really important to know, because in understanding the way that light will hit the nose, you can see that there's a bit of a divot and then it's darker in here. So if you see that on the nose there, it's darker up here between the two balls of cartilage, and there forms a line. So even if you just like take your finger and feel your own nose, you'll feel these two round balls here. And usually the cartilage here usually ends up going out, kind of bulges out and then comes in, and then you've got this part here which goes in because of the forms like a triangle because of these two cartilage balls here. And then we have it coming down about that way, like that. And we also look at the shadows. So we can't see any of this without there being light and shadow. So all of this is helping us to describe how light and shadow falls along the nose and the face. So the light is coming from this direction onto the nose. So this area here is going to be lighter, and this area here is going to be darker. And it shows how the planes and shapes and forms fall along the face. So this is the dark area, and the tip of our nose is right here, and the shadow falls still on our nose. So it's not falling down, so the nose ends at about here. We've got a nostril that happens through here. Right around there and right around here. Okay, so the shadow for the nose starts on the nose right here. As the nose curves and turns down, it starts there, and then it covers the bottom of the nose. And then casts a shadow down along the upper lip. And the little Cupid's bow there. And helps to give us some understanding of how the shape and form of the upper lip goes. Like that. So now I just need to work on the shading a bit to understand how the light casts along this nose. So we've got quite a bit more shading on this part of the nose, and we have a core shadow, so where it's really, really dark and transitions from one side to another right here. And use your eraser as a drawing tool. It's not just for fixing mistakes as we used it in elementary school. It's for lightening up areas and working to create a yeah, just like lightening up areas and so once you start to like get into the zone, it's often hard to talk while drawing. So I do my best. And I'm just drawing what I see. I'm kind of ignoring the nose ring for now because I want to get in the form and the shape of the nose. And I'm moving the direction of my marks in the direction of the plane. So the side of the nose goes down this way. So I'm going to make the direction of my marks and lines go that way. So looking at where the highlights are, the brightest lights, everything else needs to be shaded in around that. Getting in some of the darker darks. Again, if you, as I've explained in other tutorial videos, it really helps if you try to blur your eyes. You can see the subject in a very general way, and it kind of helps you to see the different tonal values in a really easy way. So it's easier to draw the general to specific forms and see the subject matter as a whole. So looking at the nose, it casts a shadow down this way here and off to this side here. But usually light's coming just from the top, and it'll cast a shadow down along the upper lip. And it's by drawing the areas around things. So if you want to get the proper scale of the nose, you draw the eyes, the eye sockets, and this part of the cheek will give you the distance and tell you the distance of how long this nose is. So that's a bit of a trick of drawing portraits, is to draw the space around the actual facial feature. So drawing the eye socket before drawing the eye. Drawing the cheeks and around the nose before you get into the nose will really help in making sure that it's the right scale and the right size. All right, so then going down into the upper lip here, so drawing this shape of tonal value here will help me to determine what kind of shape this mouth is in. And mouths are really interesting. You can do, they are pockets of fat. And the upper lip consists of 3. Like there's a little, sometimes this is just a little bead down at the bottom. Sometimes it's wider. So for her, her mouth, it's kind of wider at the top here. And that's what creates that little like curve and leads to the Cupid's bow at the top. And then the bottom are 2 like this. So that's why we often get a little bit of a line in the middle. You can see that in the reference photo here. There's a little dip right here, and that's because there's 2 pockets of fat happening there. For the top lip, you can have it going in a bowed way like this, so everybody's kind of different. You can have it peaked like this, or you can have it fairly flat like that. So there's 3 kind of different types and variations of upper lips, or the top lip. And so hers is curved a little bit and then really curved at the top. And then everybody has different varying sizes of lips. And the best way to achieve that is by just drawing around the lip first, and then you'll see that there's lots of highlight at the top. So we're just gonna fill in a little bit of tonal value here, and then there we go. And then I'm also gonna fill in here. And then what I'm gonna do is draw the highlight with the eraser. So there's a highlight that runs along the top here and down this side. If you can see that in the reference photo there. So I want to do that, where I'm just going to erase a little bit there, and then erase the top there, and then fill in some areas along the side here for the upper lip and how that forms, because there's a band of muscles that goes around the lips, and even underneath the lips. So then we're looking at tonal value shapes. So all in here is really, really dark. So I don't worry about naming everything. That's like the worst thing that you can do, is name the things that you're drawing. Just think about it as shapes. Is it light, dark? What kind of angle is it at? And then you'll create more accuracy, because it's all about observation. And it's the little curves and the subtle things in the corners of the mouth, and they're very, very tiny and small, that give the expression, whether they're smiling or frowning or smirking. Those are my favorite, when there's like a little bit of a smirk. And teeth are grayer and darker than you think they are. And you just want a subtle suggestion of them. You never want to like really put them in, or else it'll just look weird. So there's just a subtle suggestion of the teeth. They're not really that in there. And I'm working on this direction of of the lines to help show that it's a separate form than, because if you drew the lines all this way from the upper lip all the way down, then it'll look really flat. So you kind of want to like curve these lines and make them feel like it's another plane and form coming out. And then I want to do the same type of thing for this area in here. And then we have this bottom lip here, which has a whole variation of different types of tonal value shapes happening, which can be really fun, especially when we're drawing them on a larger scale like this. So I'm finding this shape here. And then there's these light areas, there's dark in the middle, there's the very bottom. So when we're drawing lips, if you're drawing them on a smaller scale, really you'd look for the corners of the mouth here, which are the darkest, maybe a bit of the line that's happening in here that would be dark, but then the bottom lip, you wouldn't even draw this part. You would just draw the bottom underneath where it hits the chin is always really quite dark and casts a shadow, sends a shadow underneath, which is a really interesting shape. And that would draw the bottom lip for you. So again, making sure that you put in some tonal value around the area, because you want to give some sort of context. Then you know how light or dark to put the shadows and highlights in the lips. So blurring my eyes, trying to see. Sometimes there's like almost like little doorways where parts of a feature kind of blends with what's next to it, and it's a little bit of a doorway, and it really makes it feel like the subject is, or the feature, whether it's the lip or the nose or the mouth, is really attached to the face. I know that kind of sounds weird, but the same thing happens for the neck as well, when you have these little like doorways where the tonal value is the same, and it brings the two together so they feel like they belong together, that they're attached together. Something like that. Um, mouth. It's a little bit more open than I had before. And I'm just going to bring this tooth down a little bit more. And the more mouths that you draw, the more you start to notice specific things to look for, which are quite helpful. So one of the reasons why these lips like really draw attention is because the highlights are really quite bright. So I'm just going to use my electric eraser here, because it's fun, but it's also a really useful tool. And I want to take some of this down here because the eraser kind of goes a little too big. It's just the nature of it. So you can keep going with this for quite some time, getting darker and darker in different areas. Really like refining and working and pushing and pulling. I often will, at this point, go and take a washroom break or make myself a cup of tea, and then I would come back to it and see if there's anything else that needs to be changed, because we need to take a little bit of a step back to come back to it with fresh eyes so we can see things a little bit clearer or with a little bit of a refreshed perspective. Again, this divots down here because again these are two balls of fat here in our lips. Where's that eraser here? I want to just bring out a bit more highlights in there. nose ring here because it's fun. Ugh. And then just using the eraser and then going in and around it. And I'm not making up where these dark areas are. They're already there, I'm just adding a little bit to them. Like that. And I've seen some people do some really cool things where they'll take like this highlight or even the highlight on the nose and they'll add a little bit of like some white gouache paint or something just to highlight it. So there we go. Now we have a nose ring and an eye and a nose. Oh, I want to get it a little bit better though. A little bit more defined. That's the thing with artists and people who like just dabble in sketching and stuff like that. Artists just push it that much further. So if you want something to look like really great, see how far you can push it before it gets wrecked, before you break it, basically. And that's what an artist would do. So take it until if you add like one more thing to it, it might ruin it type of idea. And the thing is that artists do push it until they do take it too far, because then they know where those boundaries are. Part of this mouth is just this area right here where it's a bit darker, but it's given this like little curve and bit of expression. So all of those little things matter. One more time. So sometimes I'll just take the eraser and I'll rub it down until it kind of forms its own like point. Oh, come on, baby. You can do it. Sorry, I'm just creating a point on my eraser by erasing it to, or running it on its side till it forms a point. It's easier when the the actual eraser is a bit longer. Okay, so let's try that. All right, there we go. And there's my highlight. So that's as far as I'm gonna take it today. And then tomorrow we are going to look at doing hair and ears. So maybe even next, who knows? We'll find out. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you go back and watch the drawing an eye tutorial as well. And yeah, I hope it inspired you to pick up a pencil and get drawing with me and looking at things a little bit differently. So when you look at, when you're sitting across from the people at the supper table tonight, look at their noses, look at their mouths. Can you see the two pockets of fat and how it creates a line down the middle, and the little bit of Cupid's bow and how the light and shadow cast down on the upper lip? And can you see the line and the way that the light falls onto the two balls of cartilage at the end of the nose? So that's the stuff that I really find fascinating, and what I love hearing from students in a regular class is when I teach them these things about anatomy and the way that light works, and then they go out and just look at people, because really drawing, painting, creating representational visual images is all about observation. So looking at the things around you and seeing all the beauty and wonderful things in the world, and just falling in love with studying them visually, using your eyes. So we draw with our eyes more than we draw with our hands. I hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial, and please subscribe. If you liked it, share it. Then you can not only help me out by reaching more people, but you'll also brighten somebody else's day, and maybe encourage somebody else to pick up a pencil today, and show them that they can do it as well. It boosts confidence. It does so many things for our brain. The whole like eye to hand coordination, and the way that it connects synapses, and the way that we start to piece together things and build creative thinking and problem-solving skills. Just sketching and drawing is a fantastic skill to add to your life, and so I hope that you share it with others too. All right, have a great day, everybody, and please watch the other videos and tune in tomorrow to see what tutorial we're going to be doing next. All right, take care.